This is BullionMax, the podcast. I'm Mark Allen, along with Sean Reynolds, the customer service manager for BullionMax, and our co-host. And we're going to talk about counterfeiting of collectible coins. And apparently, this is quite a serious problem. And we're going to find out how you, as a buyer of silver coins and gold coins, can be aware that you're not being ripped off. Sean, what kind of security measures does BullionMax do when they're selling these collectible coins?
Well, it really starts with being a dealer that's able to purchase directly from the mint or purchasing from distributors who are the ones who are buying directly from the mint. We do purchase directly from consumers as well, but we do have the proper tools to authenticate anything that we are purchasing that we would then make available for sale later. And I think the key to customers protecting themselves is making sure that they are purchasing precious metals from reputable companies. And it starts with, if the deal is too good to be true, it probably is. And when I say that, you'll hear about sales at spot price. Okay, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a promotional vehicle. We've even used it at BullionMax ourselves. But when you start to see somebody taking 25% off the value of the metal, why on earth would they do that? You have to ask yourself that. So to stay away from just that introductory opportunity to be confronted with something that is not legitimate, just make sure, I'm not saying you have to do business with BullionMax. That would be my preference, of course. But make sure that you're purchasing from somebody reputable, and that's the best place to start.
We're going to talk about some things with the King Charles coins that have been released. But before we do that, and we've talked about this before, and I cringe every time I see an ad for some kind of collectible coin. It looks like it's in silver. And it's being sold for $9.95. But wait, you can only buy 5 because these are limited supply. People have to be aware that can't be, at least as far as I know, a quality coin.
Unless behind the scenes there's some type of subscription or something much more expensive than that, you are signing yourself up for and agreeing to purchase future units. There are some situations where that could be a promotional hook that whatever else you're going to buy is going to have really high premiums, but you have to buy that to get this.
Right.
I was talking with a gentleman yesterday who was telling me, he's like, well, Sean, I'd really like to purchase some more gold for me. These fellas over here got to give me 25 ounces of silver if I do. And I said, let's do this. Why don't you find out how much your gold is going to cost you? So he calls me back. He's like, Sean, I know they wanted to sell me 4 American Eagles, 1 ounce gold, for $15,000. Okay. Current gold American Eagle is about $180 over spot. If spot is $1,720, okay, that's $1,900. So they're price gouging you. So there's room to put. That's how they're paying for the silver, kids. So if you ever see deals like that and you're like, can you match it? No.
Yeah, you run.
No. Unless you're going to pay me $15,000. Okay, let's make it $14,000 for 4 1 ounce gold Eagles, and I'll give you 25 ounces of silver. Sure. So yeah, the offers too, Mark. Good heavens. But I know today is about counterfeits and technology, and I think we're going to bring some things to your attention that you might go, wow, they really put a lot of thought into this to protect the people purchasing these coins and these bars and these rounds, to make sure they will be viewed as authentic in the future.
The Professional Numismaticists Guild, that is a mouthful.
That is actually well done, Mark.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
The PNG, we'll call it, warns of pretender King Charles III coins. And we need to be aware of what that could be. Can you explain some of that?
Well, the opportunity is because most people have not seen one yet. And that's usually when the sneaks and the cheats get out there, is they know the best opportunity is you've got nothing to compare it to. And so in that situation, caveat emptor, buyer beware. It is a situation where, as much as you may like to buy this potential souvenir or this potential collectible, you really need to take a look at, who is this manufacturer? Who is this selling this to me? All the things we've been saying to this point in our podcast, those still apply, even when something special and something you want has come up. You got to tap the brakes and make sure this is coming from a reputable dealer, and hopefully it is coming from a mint you've heard of before. Someone who's known for making coins and bars and rounds and things of that nature. But yeah, this is that time to beware, because they know it's all new. You've not seen it. You can't compare it to anything else. And so this is when they kind of run amok.
You were telling me prior to our recording of this episode, some of the things that you can check and look into. I think you were talking about the Perth Mint. I think that's with the detail that you could look for.
Oh, good heavens. The kangaroo. Okay, kangaroo is typically one of the most affordable bullion coins that you can purchase in silver. And the pattern that comes from behind the kangaroo looks like kind of a starburst pattern, but it's not like every ray is equal in size and shape. So to replicate that is extremely difficult. So even the more budget-friendly versions of coins have some forms of protection. One of my favorites to point to is the Canadian maple. Mm-hmm. So in addition to a bunch of other technologies that they have and some laser etching and things of that nature, I love the privy the most. Now, if you're not familiar with what a privy is, it's another little mint mark that could have something to do with the rest of the coin, or maybe nothing to do with the rest of the coin. But the Royal Canadian Mint has had some fun through the years putting different things down there. And what they're doing now is a maple leaf inside a maple leaf, and then in really tiny writing, there's a 22 for the coins that are the year 2022. And it's just like daring the counterfeiters to try to cover that, or try to copy that, because each of the outlines of the leaves are different in the privy, and they actually have a little bit of texture to them in addition to being different. So they have really raised the bar on the artistry, that even if you had great computer tools and other tool and die things at your disposal, I don't think you're going to pull off an exact replica of that privy, in addition to the other things that they have going on.
And they call they have an anti counterfeiting technology that they call DNA, non-destructive activation system, and that's what you're talking about.
Yes, absolutely. So there are even things that you can't even see that are in there that can be discovered to prove it authentic. And another good example of this is the Sunshine Mint. They are a private mint, so they don't make coins, but they make bars and rounds. And now all of their rounds feature this anti-counterfeiting kind of circle in the middle. And I know we had some people who, when we moved from the Silvertown Mint Buffalo rounds to the Sunshine Mint Buffalo rounds, they're like, wow, there's this big ugly hole in the Buffalo side. I don't know if I like that. Well, maybe if you're not aware of what that is, that could be a little glaring to you. However, it's actually a very good thing. It is something that that says valid in there if you hold kind of this decoder piece up to it. So you would, as a purchaser of those products, you would always be able to prove that what you have is genuine. And that certainly can be of great value to you down the line when it's time to barter, trade, cash out, whatever it is you're going to do with your metals when you're liquidating them. So, one man's trash is another man's treasure. It's not the prettiest thing on the side of the buffalo. I agree. However, you'll be glad it's there in the future if anything about your metals is called into question about their authenticity.
Are rounds normally, do they have artwork or are they just plain?
Oh, sure. They could be anything. Now that buffalo motif is probably the most common, replicating the buffalo nickel on both sides. So the buffalo on one side, the American Indian on the other side. But it could be, kiss me, I'm Irish. If you want. Problem is, you try to sell that to a Scotsman, and I don't think he's going to give you a price for it. But there are Trump rounds, since he never had real coinage made, and certainly there are a number of people who want to own some silver that has Trump on it. So we have that on the site. But on rounds it could be just about anything. We're hoping at some point to have a BullionMax round because a lot of different vendors have their own branded
that's interesting.
rounds. Yeah. And so we're not there yet, but we hope to make that available. Of course, at Christmas time, we like to have holiday themed rounds. Last year we had a snowman and Santa, and we're hoping to have a couple of other things this year. But that's a nice, easy gift as a round. But at least, it's a pure ounce of silver, which is great, and a nice holiday theme, easy thing to buy. So not too much to worry about in terms of authenticity, because those are typically made by the better private mints in the US, at least the ones that we buy are.
Are there premiums on those as well?
Not bad. Since they're kind of limited edition and things of that nature, it runs a little higher than some standard bullion, or maybe maybe the Buffalo rounds that are the typical, base level cost rounds, but not so much that you'd think twice if you were purchasing for a gift.
Some history here, and I'm going to read from the site regarding counterfeiting coins. In 1954, there was Francis Leroy Henning counterfeits, nickels, dated between 1939 and 1944. An estimated 100,000 counterfeit nickels entered circulation in the U.S. Let's bring it back to more contemporary times. 2014, 556,000 counterfeit euros were minted in China. Now, these were seized in Italy. 2014, again, an estimated 3.04% of all British £1 coins in circulation were counterfeit. And 2016, it's estimated that thousands of counterfeit 1893 S. Morgan dollars. I'll ask Sean to explain the S in a minute, entered the U.S. market. And depending on the condition, these coins can go for hundreds or even thousands of dollars a piece. The S, is that where the mint mark?
Yeah, San Francisco Mint. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, if you're going to make copies of the rare stuff.
Yeah. Like
so then it's worth more than your common date Morgan, so.
when those are um, those counterfeit, they're not pure silver or pure gold at that point. They're, I'm
Well,
going
it
to say,
should be 90% silver for Morgans. And so it's usually just some other type of alloy. One of the first things that you can do to check the authenticity of your metals is to weigh them, believe it or not. And this is one of the first steps when we're verifying what we're going to purchase. We know what it ought to weigh. We know how many grams it ought to be, for example. We know that because an American Eagle is not a pure gold coin, but it has an ounce of pure gold in it, it's going to weigh more than an ounce, obviously. It's got a little copper and a little silver in there because we know it's going to get handled. Same theory as the Krugerrand that has some copper in there, which is why there's the rose gold color. It is
is that to hold it together? Because gold itself is a soft metal.
Yes, and for folks who are buying the pure gold coins, such as the American Buffalo and the Canadian Maple Leaf and kangaroos, things of that nature, yes, 24 karat gold is very soft, and so you want to handle those coins very carefully because they're subject to dings and dents, and you drop it on your countertop just wrong, and you're not going to be very happy with the results of that. So. Interesting how much the Royal Mint, after all of those pound notes that were counterfeited, all the things that they have done. I've seen examples of them using multiple metals, but not blending it as a clad, but having one type of metal in the center and then another type go around the rim. Wow.
Yeah.
That probably takes a while.
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
I think that was a sneeze. If not, whatever you say for a cough. The detail is probably, from what I understand, the number one way of telling if a coin is counterfeit or not. And as you mentioned just a few moments ago, it can even be microscopic detailing you can't see with the human eye.
Right. And the Britannia from the Royal Mint has a couple of different features. So the obvious one is the privy, again, the little circle off to the lower left-hand corner in this situation. If you tilt it a little bit as you look at it, it makes the shape of a lock. Pretty cool. But also the again, using the intricate artwork in the background behind the warrior princess, you can see very fine detailed lines as if it's like misting on the seaside where she's standing there with her trident. Again, try to copy that. I just, even with the best tool and die available to people today, I just think even an experienced person in design, machining, all of that is not going to be able to make a good looking counterfeit version of that coin.
And apparently Greek die casters or carvers try to make each coin with as much detail. But we have, certainly with the technology available today, we've changed, we've upgraded, if you will, to coin 2.0, we'll call it.
Well, just imagine the fact that we're using lasers with coinage, and it's not going to rub off. It's going to stay in there. It's always going to be available in the future in that DNA, for example, like that, the Canadian coin. Just how would your Joe average or not so Joe average person know how to laser etch or do any of those things that are protecting the reputation of those coins by making it so it's possible to prove they are genuine? Sometimes it's easier to prove something is fake than to prove it's genuine. And so
that's interesting.
That being the case, they're doing everything they can so that if Joe Public knows about it and you can see those things are in place, well, then you should feel better about it. I talked to, a number of people who are looking to invest and they like silver coins, they like gold coins. Right now, I would say based on the price and this anti-counterfeiting protection that we have, gold maples, silver maples are probably your best choices for buy and hold options for what's available in the store right now. Of course, as soon as I say that, we'll sell out of those things and
Of course.
it's next. So just ask me. But the thing is, it is kind of like next in line to the eagle. If people consider a silver eagle to be the gold standard of silver bullion, well, the next one down is going to be the silver maple, but nowhere near the premiums that are being commanded for silver eagles these days.
When
We even have
people,
them on sale now, so good to
oh,
have it. Great time to be buying silver maples, and silver and gold maples are on sale too
wow.
as we record this. Yes.
Do people ask you about that? How do I know that this is a legitimate, maple?
Yes. And it's the classic question that really is, how do I know what you're selling me is legitimate?
Right.
And I point them to, because obviously there's nothing I can say. No, we're
Right.
real.
Yeah, trust me.
Said the guy who's messing with you, who's going to take your money. No,
Yeah.
the best thing to do to learn about BullionMax and the validity of our business and our products and things of that nature, read customer reviews. Every review ever written is available out there. We cannot change it. We can talk to them and see if maybe they will change it, but we cannot create or change the content that's out there. You will not find any comments about bogus product because it's all real. But that would be one place you'd find it. Better Business Bureau is another place where if you had bogus product and you didn't stand behind it, you didn't resolve that situation, that would be out there. Okay. Well, actually, people usually don't write reviews on Better Business Bureau. They usually have a complaint. Just
Right.
this week, we've got 3 great reviews, 5 stars. And thanks to you guys for writing those, because my goodness, this is where people are going to want to find out whether or not you are legit. And these folks just let people know these guys are legit. And how cool. And thank you so much for putting that there. Because for some people, BBB, if I saw bad things out there, I'm not doing business with you. If I saw good things about you out there, I will do business with you. I may even go out of my way to do business with you. But how fantastic, just within the span of 2 days, we got 3 great reviews out there. So, but that's another place where you can check. But again, as I've said, we purchase directly from the mints, or we purchase from distributors who purchase directly from the mints, or we purchase directly from the consumer, but we have the tools to be able to verify the authenticity so that when we sell it to you, we are 100% sure it is authentic.
And if you're thinking about purchasing gold, silver, other precious metals, take a look at BullionMax, because they've got some really great articles. And the one that I've been quoting now is about precious metals anti-counterfeiting technologies. And I think this is important for you to read because it will set your mind at ease. And there's even some history that 375 BCE, before the Common Era, there were people who were counterfeiting coins. I can't believe it. I mean,
it's almost the oldest profession.
It's one of them, apparently.
It's one of them, yeah, for sure. Let's face it, people have always been trying to find ways to show they have wealth that they really don't have. And so one of the quickest ways to do that is to falsify money.
Right.
And so, yeah, there are great links that people go to. And I think the article will also help you if you're checking things out locally. You may see some things that raise an eyebrow to you, because you've seen, if you've read the articles, you know what the genuine ones ought to look like. What are the features? Well, is this missing? And then, that would be a great opportunity to ask some questions of the proprietor and say, tell me about this coin. Do you recall where this came from? Not that you're, going to press him on whether or not it's authentic, but yeah, ultimately that is what you want to know.
And you want to know that, you have a coin and you're touching it, that ink doesn't rub off from the coin.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Now, fortunately, there aren't many things that have ink on them. But one other thing that I would like to say is, one of my former employers for a while had their branded gold bars made by Alibaba, and somebody was selling them for like $15. And people would try to return them to that company saying, but it has your name on it. And our question was, well, where did you get it? Really, that's who you have your beef with.
Sure.
So you can see all kinds of things that look legitimate, but again, a 1 ounce gold bar for $15, and you think it's real?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and then
probably costs more than in shipping. Together.
We have two bridges. Sean and I have two bridges for sale.
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
You like that,
right? And the San Francisco Golden Gate. Listen, Sean, we're out of time, but I thank you very much for all the information you've imparted. If you want information about investing in gold, silver, and other precious metals, visit BullionMax.com, and then there's a phone number, and you can call. You'll probably get Sean, and you can talk to him and ask your questions about anything that has to do with investing in collectibles or just the raw metals themselves. And if he doesn't have the answer, he finds it and gets back to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also, if for some reason I'm not available, I can tell you I've had some long conversations these days, so sometimes I'm not available to pick up right away. Please leave a message on my voicemail. Don't call in again and again and again and again, because if it's a 45-minute conversation, and it needs to be a 45-minute conversation, please don't call in 652 times hoping you'll get me.
Because you will call back.
Eventually, yes, I do return my messages. So
got it. Sean, thank you very much. We'll see you on our next edition. I'm Mark Allen. This is BullionMax, the podcast. For Sean Reynolds, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Subscribe. Don't forget.
Subscribe. I always forget that. Subscribe, yeah. And you get the latest news about the podcast. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye for now.